A couple of announcements, but the program is full, so I don't want to take up too much time with that. Just a reminder that University Payables continues to offer assistance appointments. They're scheduling phone appointments for January 22nd and 24th, so you can sign up for those. It's an opportunity to receive one-on-one assistance from a UPay expert without leaving your desk. To sign up for an individual appointment, you need to submit a request form by this Friday, the 18th, and a UPay representative will contact you on the day you have selected. A link to the form is going to be sent out to this group. It was sent out with the final PowerPoint presentations, Bernadette? Yes, okay, so you should have a link in your email there. Also, a quick update on the certification program, which continues to move forward. We've got 6 certification tracks live now, and it's a total of 37 courses in those 6 tracks. We're doing, as we mentioned, a blend of face-to-face cohort courses and online self-paced courses. Within the next 12 months, we expect to grow that to 10 tracks and probably around 50 courses. As of January 11th, at least 2,218 people have taken courses within the OBFS certification program, so that's pretty exciting to us. A brief update on the business administrator certification track inside of that larger program. It's certainly the largest current certification track, and it's a professional development opportunity for, I would say, early and mid-career folks at this point. We continue, this year is a pilot year, and we continue to take a look at the comments that our initial group is giving us very seriously, and we'll work on right-sizing the program, but right now there are about 25 topics that's covered at 1 day a month over 9 months. 200 business and finance related employees were nominated to join. We unfortunately were only able to accommodate 80, so we're also looking at what does that mean for the program next year, and we'll keep you posted as more opportunities emerge on that. Okay, I think that's the update on BACP. So now on to our program. Journal voucher certification track. Casey is not feeling well today, so Jenny Lee from accounting is going to do the presentation for you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny Lee. I'm from University Accounting and Financial Reporting. I'm here to talk about the new Journal Voucher Certification track that we have offered through OBFS. So why develop a Journal Voucher Processing Certification track? Historically, we've offered in-person training 2 to 3 times a semester in our training labs. We now have the opportunity for a self-paced track available 24 hours a day. You can work at your own convenience, start and stop as needed. The original course that was developed when we converted Banner 15 years ago was only focused on JV data entry. It also did not emphasize what types of transactions should and shouldn't be processed by JVs. But users now will be able to learn about fund accounting and determine which transactions should be processed as JVs, as opposed to labor redistributions or budget adjustment requests. Previously, brand new users could process journal vouchers in Banner with no formal training if it was requested by the unit's USC. But going forward, this JV certification training will be a minimum requirement before JV permissions are granted by AITS Security. This is a short training available at any time, so hopefully for those of you that don't have much time or have a busy schedule, you could go at your own pace. Please note that this policy only applies to new users, new requesters for JV processing. And it doesn't apply to current users, but we do highly encourage those who have access now to process journal vouchers to take this course because it is a good refresher course, and also you might learn something new. So the journal voucher processing track consists of 3 parts. The first 2 are courses. One is finance, introduction to finance, to Banner and Finance, which is Finance 101. It's another course that we also offer, but this is part of the JV certification course as well. The second one is the journal voucher processing course, and the third is a comprehensive assessment that you will take at the end of this certification. I'm sorry, I moved ahead myself. So going to the first section, Introduction to Banner and Finance. This provides the basic information about Banner Finance, navigating in Banner, the Banner page names, and introduction to the various CFOPO and various online sources available. This also provides a side-by-side comparison. If you're not familiar with Banner 8 and Banner 9 yet, it kind of gives you a little tutorial on how to navigate as well, so it's very useful. So the next section, the next course section, JV processing course, is the main focus of the certification track. It focuses on policies and procedures, understanding when to create a JV or when a different internal transaction like a labor redistribution or a bar adjustment request form should be used. Users will learn how to properly prepare a journal voucher, starting from writing a thorough document text, identifying proper CFOPO segments, and review scenarios to help with debits and credits. They will also see the steps to navigate the journal voucher pages in Banner, as well as review and edit journal vouchers. Who should be certified? We indicate that supervisor approval is needed to complete the JV journal voucher certification because it's still up to the department to determine who within their organization can process these financial transactions. We do not want someone taking the certification and then then being denied by their department for this access. So note that taking this training does not automatically result in receiving JV permissions. The formal request still needs to go through your USC. However, the permissions will not be granted until this certification is completed. Also, users who change departments will also need to take the training. When this occurs, the previous department usually removes the user's access to process JVs, and the new department will need to submit new permissions. So everyone is encouraged to become JV certified. Spend a few hours at your own pace to get a refresher on this, and it lasts for a lifetime, for 6 months or 6 years. If you change departments, you're still certified. The benefits of JV certification. Adding the requirement of journal voucher processing certification for future employees should reduce some of the audit exposures by requiring a minimum baseline of knowledge before JV permissions are granted. This will result in more accurate financial information in Banner and reduce inappropriate journal vouchers between fund types. So hopefully many users will become certified as well, the ones that already have access. How do you get certified? In the OBFS webpage, under resources, once you click on it, it will have this page that you see here. It has a mini tutorial on how to navigate within the LMS, the Access Learning Management System. And once you're done with the tutorial, you can select that little box where it says Journal Voucher Processing Certification, and that should take you right into the course. So this is how, once you get in, this is how it will look like. You will select the JV processing at the bottom. You see, notice I will have three, which will be the Finance 101, the JV certification or JV course, and the assessment itself at the end. And there's also a opportunity to take a survey once you complete the course. So that's that with the JV certification. And we also like to announce that there is new JV or rule codes that have started. After a year of piloting multiple debits and credits, UAFR has added these special rule codes, 125 and 175, to allow users the option to complete JVs with multiple debits and multiple credits. Everyone currently with JV permissions and going forward will have access to these rule codes. So we're really excited that these rule codes are available to everyone, and it will definitely save everyone some time. But there are restrictions to these rule codes. It cannot be used on grant funds or federal agency funds. So once it identifies that you're using a grant fund or federal agency fund, it will kick it out, and your JV will not go through. So you still have to revert back to the old rule code of 100 if you ever want to, 100 or 170 if you ever need to use those transactions on those funds. And the JV, the 125 and 175 rule codes cannot be mixed with other rule codes within your journal entry or your document. So you will use the 125 for local funds, much like you use the 100 today, and the 175 for the state funds, much like you use the 170 today. So using these new rule codes can save you a lot of time to correct the CFOP on a travel, like for example, if you want to correct a travel expense reimbursement that was posted on the wrong CFOP, or even a banner invoice with several different account codes, you could do that all in one document instead of having to do a 100 where you can just do one-to-one entry. You can organize the debits and credits in the JV so it's easy to understand which debits correspond to which credits. You could sequence the debits and corresponding credits before entering another debit. And you could use the document reference field or part of the description field to help make the correct connection easy. And here are some additional upcoming learning class or training classes that we have. If you are interested, these are live class sessions that you can sign up on in the OBFS training webpage. UAFR will continue to have instructor-led training support to support staff responsible for processing JVs, but JV certification is the only way new users will gain access to process journal vouchers. And here's some additional links on the certification program. There's the resources page, and there's also the journal voucher processing announcement to share on the OBFS website. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate your coming today. It's not easy to stand in for somebody else at the last minute. You may have noticed that we are beginning now to cross the bridge in the certification program a little bit from what is really a training component to something that is required in order to gain access to a system. As we move through the certification program and it matures, you'll see that more and more, I think, with the ultimate goal of getting to delegated agency at some point in the hopefully not too distant future. That means you get additional privileges to do some things once you have a certification. So keep us informed. For those of you who have staff who are taking the JV certification course, certainly let us know if that's effective, if you're seeing an improvement in your units once they're certified. I'd love to know that, because we're trying to figure out what are the success measures we are able to gather as a result of these programs, and it will be very helpful to us to understand how that's having an impact in your units. All right, on to policy and procedures. Scott Zalatoris is here to give us an update on what's going on in that area.
Sorry, Scott, 1 second.
I got a copy, I can talk through it.
There you go.
There are no updates. Well, luckily I've memorized the whole manual. I'm sure you all have as well. So I can do this by memory. I'll even try to do it backwards. But while we're figuring this out, good afternoon. Scott Zalatoris. I'm the policy analyst for OBFS, and I'd like to provide a few brief updates here today. As a reminder, the OBFS policy manual is available off of the OBFS website, on the top, in the right column, in the middle column, or just search like everybody else does. The policy manual has a list of updates made, listed by fiscal year. Every time we make a change to the manual, I add the updates there. As a reminder, I encourage everybody to sign up for the OBFS news service, and please download new forms every time you use them. It's my standard public service announcement. It is one of the, if you take only two things away, news service and updates, updated new forms, two crucial things. All right, so getting to the updates. You should already have this PowerPoint, but it was very brief, so I'll just talk through it. The most high-profile recent change to the policy, 861, request direct payment for goods and services. This is more informally known as the TEM allowable payments. So we've been talking about this one for over a year. On January 1st, I published the new policy. The policy and the procedure are very similar to the previous direct pay exception list. What's different is the list itself. So in the fall, we provided the link to the blog post, also available from the Policy and Procedures Manual, that explained what was being added, what was taking away, the new thresholds. There's been communications. There's also a list that compares the old direct pay exception list and the new TEM allowable payments list. So all those list changes and the new list are now effective. The new list is available through the policy manual. There was a communication that went out right at the beginning of January that has a link to the new list. But that policy is now effective. The expectation is that the purchases will be done following the new list, and we understand, of course, that at any time there's a change like this, there are going to be challenges, and we'll work with you whenever there's an irregularity, but the expectation is that you please start using this new list. I'll leave details about the new list and the change to my colleagues in purchasing, since they're the experts, but the new list is available. If you have a question about the policy itself or the list, please feel free to contact me. I can always give it to you. And then processing specific questions, transaction specific questions, I'll be happy to help you get over to purchasing. Upcoming policy changes. In the very near future, at the end of January, we'll be combining 851 and 852 for those of you that don't have that manual memorized. Those are the vendor setup and maintenance policies. If you get a vendor that needs to be paid in Banner, we have a policy and procedure for requires you to set one up in most circumstances and keep it updated. It has 2 policies, 2 procedures, and a web page. Very confusing, duplication of information. We're going to combine that into 8.5. Requires you to have the Banner, the vendor ID set up in Banner, list the circumstances in which it'd be set up, and to keep it updated. Payables will maintain the instructions, the process for how you do this, the forms you need to use, the nuances of the process on the payables site. Vendor setup and maintenance, the web page, this is a link to this in the presentation, has been a page that's existed on the OBFS website for a while. Think of the policy as saying, this is what you have to have, but go to payables to find out how you have to do it. Anytime they make a change this way, we won't require it to go through the policy process and everything else. So that's a positive change, should simplify your lives. That'll come out at the end of January. I will communicate that via the OBFS news service. Another upcoming change, cash advance policies. So there's a couple of things going on with these. We have program advance, cash, travel advance, and now a new type of advance, not a new concept, but a new type. Payments to human research subjects are currently a subset of program advances. They're going to become their own advance type in TEM. Payables is in the final process of working through the changes to that, so that's going to be a change rolled out in TEM. Simultaneously, we've reviewed all of the cash advance policies for those 3 topics, and we're going to present the suite of changes, if you will. It's mainly updates to existing content, clarifying existing expectations, but there will be an open comment period where we've gone through and compiled all of the changes with track changes so you can see the specific content. I won't ask you to read through 30 pages and figure out what I changed, so it'll be very clear. And then you can feel free to provide comments on the new content. There will be a job aid that explains the new advanced type in TEM. So this will all be brought out to you most likely in early February, and then the implementation to follow the open comment period. But you'll be able to see the suite of changes. The biggest change is the new advanced type, but we are cleaning up some of the information in the other policies. So if you travel, if you do program advances, please take a look. It's a good opportunity. Hopefully what the changes are mirror the existing business environment, so it shouldn't be too shocking. In addition, we're creating a cash advance resource page. So what does that mean? We've got policies for travel advances in 5.1, 8.4, 8. I don't even have them memorized. 4, 5. They're all over the place. We're going to have one cash advance resource page. The policies will still live in their sections, but we're going to have one page on the payments subsite that combines all of the cash advance policies in one place. It'll be displayed through dynamic content. That means you can click on the link to the policy you want to see, open a travel advance and expand the page, but you'll be able to see all the policies and procedures for any type of cash advance on one page. That will roll out with the updates to the policy manual, with the change to TEM. So we're hoping that this will be an easier way for somebody who needs to know everything about cash advances. You'll see the policies and procedures in one place. Hopefully it'll also give you a better idea of the scope of the cash advance environment. Another upcoming policy change, payments to students, another topic we'll have up here in a later presentation. But policies and procedures related to payments to students are going to be added to the policy and procedures manual. This is not going to be different than the information already displayed on the Payments to Students website. It's going to take that information that exists, parts of it, and codify it into policy and procedure. So we'll be adding to the manual the policy and procedural components that exist on the Payments to Students site. What does that mean for you as a user, as a customer? The information will still live on the Payments to Students site. We're not taking anything off. Like the cash advance resource page, whatever goes into the manual will live both in the manual and the web page. It'll be displayed on the web page. So right now, you can pick your payment type and see all the information. That's not going to change. you'll just see a little notation that this component of it is part of the policy and procedures manual. So you'll know what's in policy and what's not. The expectation is that everybody follows the directions in their entirety, but for governance setup, we're going to have parts in policy and parts on the website. The impact on you is everything should still look the way it does today. That is also going to go to an open comment period. The policies and the procedures are very, very high level. They don't get into the transactional specific details. At UIC you do this, at Urbana you do that. The policies are mainly related to tax reporting and things like that, so very high level. But that will be coming up in end of January, beginning of February as well. Right now that's the anticipated time frame for the open comment period. The last upcoming policy update is 1531, report an accident involving a university vehicle. This is a vehicle owned by the university system, could have been rented for motor pool, could be a department assigned vehicle. What are we looking at? Primarily we're looking at the reporting time frame. So the state of Illinois requires that we report accidents involving university motor vehicles to CMS within 7 days of the accident occurring. The system in Chicago for reporting is different than the system in Urbana. There are different time frames and expectations in both campuses, both universities, but the state has one expectation. We're also audited against our separate internal expectations. So what we're looking at right now is how can we make sure that the policies are written clearly enough to require to help people get the accidents reported quickly, so we always meet the 7-day expectation. Right now in Chicago it talks about reporting it through the transportation, the CARS office. I'm going to be working with the transportation offices at each university to see how the change in a system level policy of just making it potentially 7 days or whatever we decide impacts the customers, but the expectation is that it won't, because you're still going to be working with the CARS office. So this is still in the beginning stages, but if you have university motor pools assigned, vehicles assigned to your department, if you use university motor pool vehicles, if you've had experience in reporting accidents, hopefully you haven't, but if you have, and you have feedback you'd like to provide that you think would be beneficial as we go through and review the procedures related to reporting, please contact me. This is one where I know what the auditing requirements are, I know what the state requires, I know what the Vice Chancellor for Administrative Services wants, but I also know that there's a different reality when accidents happen, and we would love to get people outside of the already identified stakeholders to provide input. So that one will be coming up in the spring of this year. I don't have an exact time frame, but if you would like to provide feedback related to reporting these accidents, please contact me. The last page of the presentation is my contact details, my email, the policies email, they both go to the same place, my phone number. Many of you contact me. Please continue to do so. I'm always happy to help with any questions you have, or happy to connect you with the right people. So I know you can't see it. You'll have to trust me. That was it. Are there any questions I can answer? Yes?
Thank you. So for those of you who are going to watch this later, we've been having a conversation about the vendor information form and faxing. And the short-term solution is we don't have one. The longer-term solution is that as part of the Source to Pay project, we are looking at options to create a vendor portal where the vendor might be able to just log into a system and go ahead and enter the information there securely. And I don't have a time frame for you on that, but we're aware of the dilemma, and we'll continue to record that and keep working on it. Yeah, okay, so the synopsis, again, for that is that there is a business need to understand how the vendor submits a vendor form to university payables on the part of the department, and we need to figure out what the right solution for that becomes. Oh, we're back. Mm-hmm.
And invoice is on hold, and there was nothing done. So the information form was updated, however, the invoice looks like no connection, like, okay, now that we got the updated vendor information form, let's take the invoice off hold, but the invoice is still on hold.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this. So you've got a vendor information that has changed that caused an invoice to vendor submitted updated information. Should be that once that invoice that yeah. Well, and to share university payables has been some challenges with an email conversion and inbox rules. So there's some. I don't believe that was probably the case here, and it was. We'll chalk it up to human error, but absolutely agree that process should be an automated step. Once vendor information is updated, an invoice should be processed. I don't know the answer to that either, so we'll have to look. Where is the updated date on the vendor information form?
On that screen, benefit maintenance form, and then you click on related documents. So the fun part of Banner 9, click on the related documents link on the upper right-hand corner, and it'll take you to other screens that are related to that, and that's probably where you'll find the posting date. Yeah.
Are we talking about the activity date on the vendor data, when that was last updated? Correct. Activity on the invoice?
The vendor data.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is there a case for the foreign national, for faculty, foreign travel for faculty and students, staff, and they have to enroll in the ITS travel and to obtain the insurance? There's an email just went out this morning to our department of health that
change policy for Anna. It's wide change, for Chicago. What city am I in today? A change for Chicago that was out of the Office of International Programs. They are requiring that.
So how do we go about it? Will you contact that?
There's information on their website. I think there was a link in the email as well to let you know where they have an arrangement with a vendor that sets that up for you. So there's information on their website to allow you to execute those transactions.
Any last questions? Okay. Again, please feel free to contact me with any policy questions.
I really think I'm loud enough that I don't have to stand behind a microphone.
But they won't hear you in TV land.
Oh, okay. So good afternoon, I'm Deborah Matlock. I'm the Director of UIC Purchasing. I'm your Director of UIC Purchasing. So as we continue to attempt to demonstrate our mantra of excellent customer service, I want to make you aware of 3 items. There were only 2 noted on the agenda that was sent to you, but we want to provide some additional information about renewals. So today I want to talk a little bit more, let me slow down, about the TEM allowable payments list, talk about small purchases and remind you that multiple quotes are required, and also about FY20 renewals. The TEM allowable payments list, Scott Zalatoris told you that we have issued an update to the policy, that our go-live date was January 1st of this year, and it replaces the old direct pay exceptions list. So now what we have done is we have put in policy that the only contracts that can be paid via TEM are those that are on certain defined standard university templates, and we no longer reference in that policy the restrictions on the use of P cards and T cards, and you should in fact refer to the policy specifically about the university card programs. So we've added, we've removed, and we've clarified various items. The items that we've added are that the contract for use on the UIC, I almost said campus, at UIC University is the contract for services under $10,000. There are some other approved templates that are for use by athletics. If your department has perchance created a template that they believe can be attached to an ER in TEM to permit payment, please send that template to UIC Purchasing at uillinois.edu, and just reference the fact that you want to have it reviewed to make sure it is approved for use for TEM reimbursements. What we really want to do is to make sure that you are properly using iBuy if something is in fact a purchase, with limited exceptions. So miscellaneous purchases up to $500 made by an employee can in fact be paid in TEM, and financial support and sponsorship payments can be paid in TEM. Things that have been removed, which means they are no longer allowed for reimbursement in TEM, include the items that are listed here. Books, if the book plate is applied by the department, donor organ payments, including transportation. I know that sounds kind of harsh, doesn't it? That we're going to remove those that they could be paid for in TEM. But guess what? People really do know that transplants are occurring, and they can in fact do purchases, and much more importantly, those are exempted from the procurement code. So we do have to have notice of them, so that we can post them to the Illinois Procurement Bulletin. But they are not any longer reimbursable under NTEM, okay? Professional and artistic services under $5,000, please use the contract for services under $10,000 template, or if they are in fact processed in iBuy, items in iBuy under $10,000, both supplies and services, do go out without purchasing review. They are issued automatically in iBuy. A PO does issue. So if you have any questions, again, please direct your questions to UIC Purchasing at uillinois.edu, and we can clarify that. Professional memberships are now exempted from the procurement code. There's no longer any reason for them to be paid or reimbursed via TEM. You can request membership via iBuy, and as I said, it is exempt. Publication charges and subvention payments. I didn't know what subvention meant. So I, in fact, looked up the definition, and I've included it as an asterisk, just in case anybody like me also didn't know what it meant. But reprints of articles and page charges, as well as subscriptions. Subscriptions are also exempt now. No longer payable in TEM. Please submit an iBuy requisition. Items that have been clarified: employee reimbursements for educational materials while in travel status under $10,000. Those can be reimbursable in TEM. However, we hope that people have T-cards if they are in fact purchasing items while in travel status. Postage meter refills under $50,000. Hopefully no one's doing anything over $50,000 for postage, but if you are, you can in fact submit an iBuy rec for those and up to $100,000. Those are small purchases. We do recognize that those are sole sources. You don't have too many options in terms of postage meters. And so we'll work with you on doing whatever paperwork is required. Prizes and awards under $50,000. Those are specifically addressed now in the direct payment list. Conference registrations, those are clarified in terms of what's reimbursable. If you are in fact including or attempting to include an exhibition booth rental, those are purchases. Those need to be done in iBuy. And then royalties. Royalties are only reimbursable in TEM if they include some shared royalty payments to a third party if the university has partial ownership. And human subject payments are reimbursable if they have not been made via program advance. The TEM allowable payment list is now available. Before it was a little hidden. We recognize that. But you do have to scroll down the full page on the OBFS policy section to additional resources, and we do suggest that that you check the list before you purchase anything with either your personal credit card or cash, even while in travel status. While we don't generally recommend that you download and print forms, we do recommend that you have this one with you so that you are not risking that any purchase that you made may be rejected for reimbursement if you submit it in TEM upon your return. And then if you have any questions, you can always direct them to us. And we prefer those questions before you make the purchase. Otherwise, they become something called non-conforming. And we're trying to reduce those. In fact, the Chief Procurement Officer for Higher Education has become very aware of the University of Illinois' treatment of non-conforming purchases, which means purchases for which a purchase order was not issued prior to receipt of the invoice. They have submitted revised rules to specifically address this miscreant behavior on our part. And so we're going to have to change our practices or risk that such invoices or such reimbursements may not get paid. Heads up. Okay, small purchases. This is a reminder that as of 2016, Section 4.2020 of the CPOHE, the Chief Procurement Officer for Higher Education's administrative rules, required that we have procurement practices that ensure maximum reasonable competition and promote small businesses, diversity, and transparency. So one of the things that we have not done well is to document that maximum reasonable competition. And that means that multiple quotes are required, or the reasons why multiple quotes were not obtained. Now, you're probably saying, well, the reason that it's a small purchase and the limit was increased from, in 2014, it was $55,400. In 2017, it was increased to $80,000, and then last year, it was increased to $100,000. If they're small purchases, then that means it doesn't require a competition. It requires some demonstration of reasonable competition because we are a public institution, and in order to comply with the procurement code and the procurement rules. If in fact you do not have multiple quotes, there is a form. It is available in OBFS Policy 7.2.3 called a Small Purchase Waiver Form. And that, in fact, would allow you to be attached in iBuy in internal attachments to document that quotes were obtained, or that, or the reasons why they weren't, and that a diverse supplier was in fact contacted, or why not. And there are choices that you can select. The documentation can be an informal quote. You can make a phone call, just document it in the internal notes. I called these other two vendors, they were not available, or they were more expensive, or we like this vendor and they can continue to supply us. There's consistency in the product offerings. This is a downloadable software product. We're very careful about software, however, so that you are not obligating yourself individually or the university to undue exposure. So you can always send those to UIC Purchasing as an attachment to an iBuy rec, a click-through agreement, for example, for software, and we'll review those fairly quickly. But you do have to, in fact, document in either the iBuy internal notes or as an attachment in the internal attachments. There are revisions that are pending to the Chief Procurement Officer for Higher Education's administrative rules, which will require at least 3 quotes, which must be documented and maintained in the procurement file. We do deem the iBuy system to be our procurement files, and so things that are attached, items that are attached in internal attachments do meet this requirement. But what we're working on is, I don't particularly like to have separate manual pieces of paper that then they have to get attached in the system, and then people ask questions like, well, how do I attach this, and is it an email? Do I have to, in fact, save the email as a PDF document before I can, in fact, attach it in internal attachments? What we're trying to do is on that requisition form in iBuy where you fill out the information to start the process, we are trying to integrate. We're working with our iBuy production support team so that we can integrate the multiple quote documentation through either a radio button or a click box or a pull down that would say, yes, I did in fact attempt to secure multiple quotes, or I didn't, and the reasons why, and that a diverse vendor was in fact contacted. So there's more information about that to come, but we're working on a number of things to facilitate your ability to purchase and to do it compliantly and efficiently. Just as a point of note, last year in FY18, UIC Purchasing processed 71,500 small purchases. We try and turn those around in approximately 24 hours. We have 2 people who are dedicated to that, as well as other staff members. So it is not my intention to reject and return an iBuy requisition because it did not have multiple quotes. So Needless to say, this was not an audit finding, but it was noted for my response in our last audit that we had not complied at UIC with the requirement for multiple quotes. So, FY20 renewals. iBuy is open to accept requisitions for FY20 renewals. So we're at that time again, you know, and then when you're trying to copy and paste in prior requisitions, it's probably easier just to start a new requisition. Anyway, we are sending notice of due dates via the OBFS webpage as well as DDDH for UIC of what the dates are for FY20 renewals, or if you in fact have a continuing need for services or supplies and you no longer have any renewals available, then we are going to request that if it's over $100,000, that the iBuy requisition request a competitive solicitation. So we're going to be sending out to the units an email notice to say which one of your current contracts do have renewals. The requisitions for renewals are being requested starting February 4th. And if a competitive solicitation is needed, please complete a solicitation information form and attach it to internal attachments with your iBuy requisition. If your purchases for particular services or supplies will total $100,000 or more, please avoid stringing. What does stringing mean? That means that you know at the time that you're making this purchase that it is going to exceed $100,000. Maybe there's a phased approach, or maybe you are purchasing some items now, but you know that next year you're going to have a continuing need. Some of those are called standing orders, but standing orders are generally applicable for this fiscal year. But if you know, in fact, right now, in your heart of hearts, in your soul, you know that you are going to be spending more than $100,000 on this specific project, on this specific service, for these particular supplies, please do not make me a party to your stringing. Please, in fact, let's do a competitive solicitation request, or if there is, in fact, an applicable exemption, submit your iBuy request and requisition, and we can process as an exemption. Anyone who has questions about available exemptions, again, please email us at uicpurchasing@uillinois.edu, and we can give you the list of all of the applicable exemptions. Okay. Now, I don't know what I'm doing. This is the last slide, though. Please pause for technical difficulties. We will return momentarily. Okay. Right there. No, one more. Okay. There are more slides than I remembered. The BEP Act was revised as a result of SB 262 last year, which became Public Act 100-0341. New Section 8I of the BEP Act requires review upon renewals of whether a BEP goal was established for the competitive solicitation when it was first issued, and if that goal is being met, or it should be increased, or if there was no goal, if one should be established. This is new. We are having a lot of questions about that. If you have any questions about whether or not your vendor should be subject to a BEP goal, we will be issuing utilization plans to the vendors as part of any requested renewals. the vendors can in fact respond and say, this is new, it was not required as part of my original solicitation, as part of my original contract, it wasn't referenced in my award, and therefore, we have had responses that said, we deem this material change, we deem this to require additional money, additional costs may be incurred for us to implement this. Please direct any of those kinds of responses to me, okay? Because it is required by the Chief Procurement Officer for Higher Education that the director, the purchasing director, must respond to the CPO-HE if we do not have a BEP goal of 20% or the vendor has, is requesting, in effect, a waiver of inclusion of a BEP goal upon renewal. And I will be the person who will respond. So you can work with any of your UIC purchasing buyers, but that specific request does have to come to me so that I can address it. And if you got questions, just give me a call. And if there are any questions now, I'll be happy to entertain them. Yes.
Going back to the documenting multiple quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that where you just put anything in your internal notes, you know, you made phone calls, how is that really provable? You know, the email is one thing, because it shows proof that you actually reached out, but what's stopping anybody from just writing anything, you know, saying in the internal notes that I checked?
That is not my job. I am not trying to demonstrate fraud. So, you know, if this is the plan, don't make me a party to it. That's all I ask. I always say I will try and work with anyone to try and figure out how to get a procurement done within the code and the rules. I'm really good at that. Do not put my law license in jeopardy. Those are the rules. It's okay. So, but if that's what somebody wants to do, I am not trying to determine that they, in fact, did not secure those quotes. It's not this.
Purchasing sees it there, you're just gonna go, right, you just go with it, and it's just approved based on that person's word.
Your word is your bond. So, you know, but it is our intent that we are going to process. They are small purchases, we are going to process them. So, like I said, it's not my intent to return, plus that I don't have the resources to do that kind of investigatory work, to call someone and say, now, are you sure that you really called these vendors? Now, I'm not going to say that the auditors, since that's their job, that they might not do that, but that's not my charge, and that's not my charge to you. Okay, so you can, in fact, document, or you can say, we have used this vendor. Now, you know, you have to be careful. You start to say, we've used this vendor for the last 20 years, and we really like their services. That gets a little sketchy, because under the procurement code, you can only have a contract for a term of 10 years. So when you start to look like we've been using the same vendor since 2004, then the chief procurement officer, he might get wind of that and say, I, in fact, require you to do a competitive solicitation. So that's the path that we don't want to go down if we don't have to. But what I want to do is to facilitate your purchases. And so to the degree that we can do that, we've got a tool, iBuy, that you can in fact document in internal notes that you secured the quotes, or you say, this is the reason why I didn't, and we're trying to make that even easier by having the ability to select within the requisition form for purchases from $10,000 to $100,000 why you did not secure quotes or that you did. So that's what we're working on. I saw a question. Okay. Okay.
Your 5 minutes were up sometime.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry to move us along, but we're about 2 presentations behind already, and I want to get you out of here before dinner. Payments to students, update and discussion. I want to thank John Hockersmith for coordinating this. Payments to students continues to be an area where there are lots of questions and also much new information to share. So thank you for coming, John, and he will introduce colleagues who are here with him so that we can answer a broad range of questions today.
So first, my condolences to Gloria, Julie, and Scott for having to present without a mic. And I know it got here because this is why you're all really here, is because you're so interested in payments to students. So we have updated the payment, as Scott Zalatoris mentioned, we have updated payments to students guidance on November the 8th. And just so that you know, it's not etched in stone. We have made further updates to this page last week. I've got some screenshots to show you, but then really this presentation will be very brief, and it's really, we want any questions for you to bring to us. These are the primary changes we published back on November the 8th. I should add that in addition to specific reference, so I want you to know that this is not OBFS arbitrary beliefs about payments to students. It truly is governed by the IRS and the U.S. Department of Education regulations. And quite often the federal government doesn't talk to itself. As you will find in the discussion, particularly with payments to research-related payments, some of the federal grants are explicitly restrict scholarships from the grants, but because they primarily benefit students, they have to be treated as scholarships by the IRS and the U.S. Department of Ed. So it makes our life difficult. So we did add a research and travel payments section. The other thing I should mention is we also added what to inform students information on the website. I didn't put that on the slide, but these requirements do affect students. They could have taxable implications to students. So be sure to reference what to inform students where you see it. Prizes and awards, it used to be that when you made a prize or award to a student, that it would pay to the student account, but we automatically refunded those monies even if the student owed a balance. We have changed that now. We will still refund because a prize or award is not limited to educational expenses, but the student has to request it, and at that point in time, we can tell the student, yes, we will refund this, but please be advised that this is going to increase the balance on your student account. That is something that is important for students to know, because that's really why we've made the change, is because students came back to us and said, well, why did you refund me money if you knew I owed money? And so now we're just going to make them request the refund of their prize or award. The changes we published last week, we updated text in the research and travel payments section, specifically with respect to research experience and opportunity payments. Those are generally payments to students over the summer who participate in research experience opportunities. It's generally a recruiting tool, and that's why we changed the policy to say that these really primarily benefit the student, the university, not the student. So we've made that change. And we added a new recruitment and public service participation payments section. So those are our recent changes. I will also mention that we have ongoing meetings to continue to try to address some of the problems associated with the research and travel payments. And so some of those questions may arise in discussion if you have questions. And we weren't sure we were going to have internet access here, so we included screenshots. I won't take the time to go through those screenshots. We do have, I hope, internet access, so if questions come up, I should be able to log in and just take you directly to the guidance on the OBFS website. So without further ado, let me introduce, so Deidre Rush is here from the Financial Aid Office, Brenda Sutherland from Tax Analysis and Compliance, Jim Martini, who you heard from before, from University Payables, and Melvin Faison from University Payroll and Benefits.
When you all know, if you get a question, you have to come up to the table and use the microphone to answer it.
Yep, or I'll hand the microphone to you. So any questions? Yes.
Yes, I have a question regarding the payment. So during the 2017, I think is when we first noticed that this change had been implemented, and we paid a lot of professional students, medical students, and residents. So I had a very hard time doing that, but I worked. We had the same problem this past spring of 2018, and I was working with Deidre Rush, but I was sending my emails to her just because the previous request went to her, and it needed to go to the college. So I was wondering, even when Scott was speaking, was the information on the policy page tell us who exactly to reach out to in terms of getting all the specifics needed for payment?
So the question is does the guidance that has been published provide who to reach out to?
Yes, and at any point would the student ever be able to receive the payment? So this past spring of 2018, the payment lingered even past the summer session. So the student was never able to get the money. It had to wait till the fall of 2019 for something that was awarded back in, let's say, March. So is there ever a window, a gap that defaults and say tuition has been paid for the spring, they're not enrolled in the summer, the payee, the student can get the money? Is there ever a window for that?
So it's going to really depend on the type of payment. So if it's, so the first question that always has to be answered is who's the primary beneficiary? And if it's determined the student is the primary beneficiary, the guidance says it's going to need to be processed as a scholarship. I think the delays that you may be referring to occurred because the payment was submitted through TEM. Was that?
Like, first session that this was 2017, and sent those emails and assistance with Deidre Rush, and I think they assisted with how to get those payments processed. And that same step was followed for 2018, which was not correct. You needed to send those payments through the College of Medicine, and that caused a long delay. So I initially started with the information I was given. That worked for 2017, but here we are with the same payment, did not work for the same process for the following same session.
Yeah, we may need to talk offline. You know, in terms of your question about who to contact, there is at the how do I get to the website? Sorry. Whoops, there. Thanks. So the payments to students guidance is here. And at the bottom, there is a who to contact section. And it's by, we've changed it. a little bit, because there was a who to contact before, but now we've changed it here. But let me just say that if you still aren't sure, call me, I mean, or email me. I'm happy to connect, and that's kind of what's been happening more and more. Deidre usually asks if it's a question, she's gonna have to probably reach out to me as well. So I would say, reach out to me, and then if it goes to Deidre, I'll contact her. If it goes to Marcus in the College of Medicine, I'll work with him as well. So I hope that, but if you still have lingering questions, email me afterwards. Yes. Well, again, it will be by payment type, so. Pardon? Oh, if it's a prize or award, that's always going to go through the student account. It's not an assistantship. Because you mentioned assistantship, and they Melvin, are you able to? So if it's for a foreign national, then yes, it's going to be a completely different process. But if it was for a U.S. citizen, if it's a prize and award, I can tell you for prizes and awards now, they do need to be paid through the financial aid office or through, if it's only for, if it's for less than 10 students, it would be through our student account payment request form. That's true. UIC, I'm sorry. My apologies. So yeah, if it's a prize or award, use the student account payment request form. And that's across the board unless it's a foreign national student, and then you've got to go through the foreign national payments process. Any other questions? Yes, in the back.
I just want to clarify for, and well, first I want to thank your team because they helped me tremendously last year. I had like over probably 150 participant fees that had to be paid out to students and non-students, and we submitted them initially for TDM, they were all rejected. And so Deidre and her team, everybody just helped us. We finally were able to pay these students out, but we ended up doing an upload, payable in Urbana, but I would just want to clarify, because we'll have these same types of payments this year, that for participant fees, for whether they're students or non-students, that now we can process them through TDM.
Jim, I'll have to defer any TEM.
Refresh my memory about what participant fees actually mean.
So these were some students, like I said, some were not, that participated in summer programs within our college. There were different programs, to learn different things, and, for participating, they received a fee. This did not have anything to do with their tuition, this was like a separate.
It wasn't a reimbursement of
No.
travel costs here or?
No.
Oh, so it's an REU type payment, is that?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Something else that's been thrown at me before, I guess so. I mean, REU programs in NSF are common, but I mean, there are other non-REU types of programs that NSF funds specifically for participant support.
And those, so if they're paid, so I think this guidance here, and the question for the online participants, or online participants, it's a question on participation payments that we think are similar to
So these are non-employees, non-students, non-affiliated UIC. Some of them can, but for the program, her program, my program didn't. Right. So that's the thing with NSF participant support costs, is there is a variety of these types of participant support costs that, engineering or LAS or medicine might be dealing with in different ways.
he,
But they are not human subject participants.
Absolutely not. That's the other disclaimer I forgot to say. Not human subject payments.
Well, I have to rely on John here because the whole evolution of this space over the last 24 months or 30 months has come about because of we've gotten some legal opinions that express a statement that if the benefit accrues to the individual, then the transaction should transit the student side of the world. Because some of it, I don't know if these do or not, but some of those payments can affect their scholarship.
yeah, but if they're
So we
not
gotta-
enrolled as students, and so, yeah, so that's why I think use this guidance for their, and again, it's research experience / opportunity. So do I understand correctly that they're coming to campus to participate in a research experience? Is that essentially?
In some contexts, yes, they don't have to come to the campus. Sometimes it's our team that's going to the high school, to get their input, to get their involvements, to get them involved in STEM and science programs. So it's not, the designation is not, them coming to campus or us reaching out. I mean, it can be either one.
Got it. So they don't have to be coming, and I also have to qualify this as by saying, and I'd have to log into my email to identify the specific people, but there are people that the procedure for these types of payments on this campus has not been determined yet. We are hoping that they mirror Urbana's, which is when they're here and they're receiving payments at the university, that they are paid as fellowships to the students. But quite often, there are travel and housing expenses associated with those payments. And it was in conversation with the graduate college at Urbana that this determination was made. We kind of revisited it, and they kind of really fit example B of the situation where the UI system is the primary beneficiary. They're not traveling somewhere else. They're actually traveling to the campus to participate in research that we're already conducting. They're kind of recruitment tools quite often. But in your case, where we're actually going to them, I think kind of stay tuned on those, because we are still waiting on guidance from the academic side of the house on how to process these summer type programs.
And they're not performing services, right? They're not actually expected, there's no,
Such as participating in the studies. Put it in a more, maybe a better context. So, these payments are a special category for NSF, specifically for NSF. They have an entire section in their budget forms and their proposals for participant support costs, which includes stipends, the money that we're paying them, travel subsistence,
And no one is saying, neither John or I is saying we're not gonna make these payments. Okay, we're not judging the appropriateness of those payments. We're just trying to get it correct, and it's hard.
Now, but what we're doing for the ones, like I said, for last year, so what I had to do for those, was add them as a banner vendor. And I added them as a banner vendor, and I made the payments that way.
We have a lot, I have many, many accounts like that are, scholarship accounts, and a lot of times when we process payment, the ones that are undergrad, we give them kickback saying it's a benefit to the student. We're constantly pulling the language from the grant saying it is required, even some of these students have to go out of the country to do, summer school. And when they do summer school, that's part of the requirement, but they might take a workshop class, but it's required. They go away for 3 weeks to learn and get, extra interdisciplinary. And a lot of my stuff is given kickback for the students. We keep sending them back and forth. And the same thing, then I also have it where, graduate or PhD student, they're getting, we can process theirs because first we're paying them as a fellowship for their, they get a stipend, and plus they have to do this other ancillary requirements. Job fair, work fair, do the travel. We're getting feedback saying, oh, it's benefiting the student, how is it benefiting? But the whole program is required, so how do we go back and forth? There were many times where I had to deal with Deidre a few years ago. I had to bring a meeting because it was this communication where, financial aid office was not aware of how grants and contracts has to process stuff. And that is one of the biggest problems is, besides fellowships, is, participant support.
So I'm really conscious of our time limitation here. Can I work with Gloria on maybe discussing just even a separate payments to student specific type meeting where and then just send it out to you and just say, hey, because we need to get, as Jim said, we need to get a handle on this and be able to document it. And that's all we want to do. We want to get these types of things documented in here so that you have the guidance you need and you don't have these delays. And so, and I know there's other hands have been raised, but shall I go ahead and table it for now? And then we will try to create, and even if it's a Skype meeting where we don't have to all gather in person, you can join from your office.
And payables will participate, okay? We know that we have to do some of these things. We just don't know. We're trying to follow the direction of the tax office and financial aid, that if the benefit accrues to the student, and I know that's very subjective, that payables is probably not the way it should go. So we just need to tighten up the definitions. We want to make these payments.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing the information. Clearly, this continues to be an important topic, and let's figure out how we make this better. The OBFS Reporting Subcommittee is on deck. I'll let them introduce themselves, and we'll move it along.
All right, hello everyone. I know we are running short on time, so we'll try to make this short and sweet. My name is Brian Shim. I'm from the Department of Physics, and I'm joined by my colleague Robin Sylvester from the School of Public Health. And we're here on behalf of the OBFS Reporting Subcommittee. Today we're going to be talking about just a real quick refresher of what the subcommittee, what it includes and what we do, as well as we're going to be talking about a couple of reports that we will be releasing very soon. One of which is the proposal report that Robin will be talking about. So just as a brief refresher, as you can see, our membership in our subcommittee is completely on a volunteer basis. It includes, as you can see, many people from both the East Campus, West Campuses, Dean's offices, central offices, institutes, and centers. So The leadership team right now includes Colleen from OVCR, Jenny from UAFR, Jerry from AITS, myself from Physics LAS, Dimuthu from AITS, and Brian Weaver from the College of Nursing. And again, as you can see, the membership here includes people from all over. So we really feel that we have a good representation and a good grasp of what the reporting needs of the campus would be. And you know, our membership is always a rolling membership, meaning, you know, we're always looking for new members. We're always welcoming in new experienced reporting people as well as beginners. So we have people of all types of experiences and expertise. And so again, we encourage you, even if you don't know anything about it, to reach out to us. And if you're interested, you know, we'd be happy to have you. And I will be talking more about joining and sharing reports with the subcommittee later on. So the directions for the subcommittee in the past, in FY17, our goals were to promote existing reports and resources such as web intelligence and additional resources within EDI. Last year, our goal was to expand our reporting user base, and based on the last screen, you can see that I think we did a good job because our membership has grown pretty substantially, and we hope that it continues to grow. And our goal for this year, FY19, is to develop new reports, a couple of which we will be talking about today. So the new reports, again, Robin will go into more detail about the proposal report, but we're going to be hoping to work on some more proposal and awards reports using the new pre-award data. Everyone's aware of the My Research portal or the PI portal. So they have a new universe, the KC universes, which is where the current pre-award data lives. We're also going to be working on a T-card and P-card holders report. This is kind of more an expanded, more detailed report that goes beyond what is available to unit security contacts right now. But this is something that we are continuing to hopefully to develop and work through. Another report is a list of valid CFOPs for an organization that includes all fund types, state, ICR, gift, revolving, et cetera. And so those are some reports that are just kind of in the pipeline that we are trying to work on and hopefully release this year. Our other goals, again, as I mentioned before, we're going to be updating existing reports that we have previously released in previous years. Again, I think most of us remember the InfoEd or UIERA pre-proposal system. So obviously that system is no longer used, and now we have a new universe, the KC universe. And so a lot of the older reports that we're using, the old universe, have to be updated to use the new universe. And if I lost you, I'm a Marvel Universe fan. So anyways, and then another goal is to also create some educational video resources. Obviously, you know, we like to try to make ourselves available as much as we can, but you know, I think we feel that having video resources on our website will also help people to kind of, you know, learn about us or learn how to run a specific report on their own and at their own leisure. So we find that, you know, if you can do it at your own time, that it's probably the most beneficial for you. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Robin, who again will be talking about our new and exciting proposal report.
Okay, so we have a new proposal report. This is a web intelligence report that was designed to assist college and unit level administrators on pre-award proposal information. So this report has about 10 different tabs organized in different ways. It includes summary tables, and these tables provide aggregate information to answer questions such as how many proposals have been submitted or funded, and to what sponsors are we submitting proposals to. In addition, there are some proposal activity tables, and these tables include specific information at the project level. So this report uses the data from the proposals reporting universe that Brian already mentioned. This universe provides access to pre-award data from the new grants management system at UIC, which is KC. Just a note that the report includes information provided on the proposal approval form, or the PAF, at the time of submission. So it does not include any award or expenditure data that comes later. So I have about 3 examples here from the different tabs at different levels. So this first example is a proposal summary by fiscal year. So the report can be pulled from multiple fiscal years. This example has 3 years, and you can see the proposals submitted, as well as the number of proposals that were funded out of those that were submitted, and the amounts that were requested. So this is a high-level overview. This next example drills down a little bit further to provide the same information, but by sponsor type. And this includes both the direct sponsor and the originating sponsor, which demonstrates the flow through as it was identified on the PAF. And then in the third example, we have proposal activity, and this information is the project level information, and it provides details such as the PI name, the project title, the PAF number, and proposal status. And all of the tables in the report can be customized using optional prompts. So when you put in the information in the prompts, it's going to adjust all of the tables for you. The report can be pulled by either college or unit level. It can be pulled from multiple units. It also allows multiple fiscal years, so you can pull either 2 fiscal years, or you could pull up to 5 fiscal years, or probably even more, but it would be a little squished. And you can choose to exclude specific orgs. So if you want to get results excluding a specific org within a unit so that your totals will be adjusted, you can do that as well. So a few important limitations. The data in the report depends on the accuracy of the proposal approval form at the time of submission. Also, as Brian mentioned, there was that transition from InfoEd to KC for the grants management system, and this does affect data, especially around the year that there was the transition. In addition, there are user permissions required to access this data, and that includes the job category data analyst and then the data subject area my proposals. And then a reminder that this report was created and tested by volunteers on the committee, and it's not a standard report. So more suggestions are always welcome. And with that, I'll hand it back to Brian.
So just as a reminder, as Robin just mentioned, a lot of these, we are always welcoming suggestions and any kind of comments, feedback on the reports that we create. We realize they're not perfect. We realize they might not fit your needs perfectly, but what we do feel and confidently about is that the reports that we do release, are good starting points for you to either develop your own report or even customize the reports that we have. I mean, again, we encourage that. The only thing we ask is if you customize it and make it better, maybe share it with us, please. So anyways, one more report that I just want to briefly talk about, because it was previously presented by our colleague, Brian Weaver from the College of Nursing to this group, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it is a great report that we will be releasing soon, and that is a grant reporting projection tool. So this report is a report that helps grants managers do projections for their grant accounts. It doesn't do the actual projections for you, obviously, but it does provide you with the real-time data, I think 1 day behind, depending upon the day that you run it. But it provides you with the real-time data so that you can do the projections and prepare your statements the way that you see fit and the way that your PIs or faculty members would want to see them. The report is run by grant code and by fiscal year, so it can literally be run for any kind of grant accounts that you have. And the results include a lot of details. Again, we wanted this report to be able to kind of be like a one-stop shop where, for your projections, when you're sitting down doing commitments for salaries or commitments for vendor payments or whatever it might be, subcontract payments, whatever it is, that you have the details, in that report right there, and that you can make those determinations and add the projection data that you want to the report. And again, as I just mentioned, these reports are good starting points. They're not perfect for everyone, and we realize that, but we hope that you do play around with it, snoop around, and if it does work for you, great. If you can make it better, please let us know. And the last point is that actually it's not quite available in the solution library yet, so sorry about that one. It's actually available on our website now, but that it will be made available in the solution library as soon as we can get someone at ATS to do it for us. But it will be made available soon, so definitely keep your eye out for it. And if you're looking to find our reports or contact us, visit our website. Again, we encourage you. It's on the OBFS main page. That little drop-down window. Right down there, you can see OBFS UIC Reporting Subcommittee. Click on that. Log in with your UIC net ID and password, and it'll get you access to all the reports that we have on our website. So again, we encourage you to play around, to snoop around, and enjoy. Denise.
On your report, you said when you're doing grant management, you said fiscal year, any of the reports in section to date, because that's one of the biggest factors.
Yes, yeah. So it can be run by fiscal year, but it is inception date. So when you run it, there are date prompts, right? And so you should be able to either put in a date prompt or a period, And depending upon where you are, you can make that determination. Go ahead, Colleen.
This particular report runs by fiscal year because it's got so many queries, if you try to run most of it inception to date, it would take forever. But some of the tabs do have inception to date information. So this particular one is not an inception to date one, but most of the grant ones are, or they allow a time period.
So Denise, there's other grant reports on our website that do inception dates. For example, the grant payroll report. Right, you can run it.
You can run it for multiple fiscal years. So if you put in, like, if you know the life of your grant, and you just say it's 3 years, or whatever, you can put in the fiscal years that it crosses, and it will give you all of those results. But it doesn't just run inception to date because you have like a 10-year grant. You know, it would probably never finish. It would time out before it would finish.
It would take forever to run. But what Colleen was saying is that other grant reports that we have, you put in specific query dates. So you put in, let's say my contract starts February 13th and ends, February 12th of the next year. You can put in those weird dates. You don't have to go by, month end or period end or whatever like that for other reports. But this one does go by fiscal year, so.
This particular grant,
This report.
is not intended for running across multiple grants, really. But there are other ones that are for that. Yeah, and those do more inception to date.
That's right. They have a query fields, date query fields. Bill?
Any chances to do non-grant accounts?
For non-grant accounts, we can maybe work on one. Yeah.
It does use a lot of the operating ledger, so some of the tabs would run for other types of funds, but then there's some that use the specific grant universes, so
So yeah, what you don't see on this.
let us know.
Yeah, what you don't see is this grant projection reporting tool has multiple tabs within the report. And like Colleen was mentioning, so some of the pages will use inception to date data, but some of the tabs will use only fiscal year period data. So it depends on, I guess, which tab you're looking at and which report you're using. But like Colleen mentioned, a lot of the rules and a lot of the grant information or accounting information pulls from the same database, so it may work. But this one wasn't designed for non-grant funds. So to any other questions? To finish off, again, if you want to join the committee or share reports, feel free to contact Colleen or myself or any one of our members in our subcommittee. Again, there's a lot of them across campus, so we welcome you. We feel free to ask us questions if you have any requests or if you have any needs. Again, we encourage you to contact us. So, thank you.
Next up, Dan Martin from the Office of Real Estate Services to give you the whirlwind tour of their offerings.
How do I, Well, good afternoon. My name is Dan Martin. I'm Assistant Director of Real Estate for University of Illinois. And I'm thankful today. I'm thankful that we're not federal employees today. How about that? So real estate services, who do we serve? We serve, our customers are the university, all of you, you're who we serve, and all of your different responsibilities. We provide our customers with decision-making, subsequent transactions. So essentially, bottom line with real estate, and we do, I should say this, when you're looking at real estate, we are handling real estate as outside of the campus, primarily outside of the campus. So if you are looking for real estate on the campus, you would go to, if you were looking for real estate on the campus, we would go to facilities management, Fernando Howe and his group there. So primarily we're handling third-party leases from off-campus landlords for on-campus departments to work off-campus. To do that, we have to
To do that, we have to abide by all of the rules and regulations that the state has. Procurement-wise, it is different. A few of the things that we're responsible for doing are just making sure that all of the documentation is correct, and that act as a liaison to the Board of Trustees, especially when it's concerning large transactions. For UIC specifically, and we are a system organization, there is a tax exemption program. We work primarily with Cook County. We have a number of locations. We have a number of responsibilities, and outside of on campus and off campus. And sometimes Cook County tries to charge us real estate taxes, and we are responsible for maintaining that. There's also a liaison with the City of Chicago for the TIF district, which is the South Campus stores and buildings that we have renovated over time. Finally, there's medical timeshare agreements. If anybody is here for the university hospital, we do a number of agreements with outside clinics where we have doctors and other social workers that go out and just a couple of notes. Timing-wise, non-RFI leases, meaning that leases that are less than $100,000 in any calendar or fiscal year, actually, will take 30 to 90 days to process. They require legal and insurance review. Auditors are also requiring that each landlord certified for certain things, which are always a challenge to get. And finally, the leases must be executed before the commencement date, which sounds like a reasonable expectation, but it happens. Leasing units may desire additional insurance. I don't want to really go into this. I don't know if these numbers are really, but bottom line, if you're on an outside location and you have and you need insurance per the landlord's requirements, then you may have to purchase additional insurance. Timing-wise, RFIs, which are basically, as I mentioned, contracts that are $100,000 or more on an annual basis, require a year or more to complete. Otherwise, $200,000 or more. Bottom line, you're going to be going through Board of Trustees approval, and the timing-wise really depends on the extent of the nature of the deal itself. All real estate contracts require comptroller approval and are logged and put in our database, which is called our portfolio or Wizard. And in that database, we have probably over 200 agreements right now for just the Chicago office. Again, the basic lease and procurement guidelines. If there's $100,000 or more paid to any landlord, it needs to go to have Board of Trustees approval. No lease can be longer than 10 years. Leases must have an out at 5 years. And finally, there is no month-to-month holdover over 6 months anymore. If you need space, basically just contact, go online, and your first contact is going to be locally. It's going to be with the facilities management. If you're looking for space, I probably would be on campus at first. Obviously, space on campus is very tight, so that's where we get involved. Bottom line is make sure that before you come to us that it's been pre-approved, the amount, the term, et cetera. We do a space search. We use outside, we have an outside brokerage company that we use. And really the bottom line is just contact us first before, if you hear the word real estate, if you hear the word location, lease, or any of those buzzwords in your office, pick up the phone and call us. Thanks. Oh, finally, I'm sorry. I didn't want to, I know we're pressed on time. I don't really want to go into the actual forms, but this is a new form. It is online. So if you have some interest in space and need space, then we suggest call us, fill out the form, send it to us. We'll go through it with you and make sure you get the right approvals. Again, these are related to the form. You know, bottom line, just if you have a desire desire and need space, contact facilities management, and if they don't have any, they'll ask you to contact us, and we'll look and see what we have. Basically, the do's and don'ts. There's a do, and it's just call us as soon as you know that you're going to need space. That's really as much as it gets. Don'ts, it's happened. Occupy space without a document, without a contract. If you know you're looking for space in a certain area, give us a call. Let us negotiate for you. Don't try to negotiate on your own behalf. We know the market. We know what the landlords are looking for. And so, again, if you need more information, just contact us either online, email, or give us a phone call.
Thank you, Dan, for blowing through that so quickly. Office of Procurement Diversity. There you are.
Show me how to advance it.
Yeah, just with these right here.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Hardaway, and I am with the Office of Procurement Diversity. And Happy New Year. Why do we use diverse vendors? Well, we use them to create opportunities to expand our supplier diverse network. They are easily accessible in iBuy and Banner. And thirdly, which is quite important, it allows your department to help contribute to the university's goals. I am going to share with you two new vendors, and the first one is VIEW, and that is an acronym for provision, the V in provision, utilization, let's see, I'm sorry. Let me get I think it's existing or execution. It is. Provision, utilization, execution. VIEW is a certified woman, minority and small disadvantaged business enterprise specializing in management consulting services and project management. They provide customized solutions aligned with clients' strategic goals. VIEW Consulting has 4 core competencies, and they are management consulting, project management, business process improvement, and regulatory compliance. Under management consulting, you see the 4 subsets that are included, which are business case development, business analytics, strategy development, and vendor management. Under project management, it has PMI projects, and PMI is an acronym for Project Management Institute, training development, software implementation, business management. And under business process, as you can see, Six Sigma DMAIC, and the acronym for that is Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, Control Methodology. Cost analysis and process workflow optimization is also part of that subset. Under regulatory compliance, it includes risk management and compliance strategy and implementation management. Our next company is 3C+, and they provide construction and facility products and equipment. C3+, it operates in 3 phases. One being design phase, which is it deals with planning. It also deals with construction phase, that is with regards to execution, and then the exiting phase, and that deals with construction, monitoring the process. The categories of offering that C3+ has are the restroom supplies, as you can read on the PowerPoint. I know we are looking at the time. And lastly, I'll go and end with the summary of 3C+. And it is a firm that is, well, let me start with the innovations. They offer highly customized solutions that's really customized for their customer. They provide expertise and improvement opportunities, support current green brands and initiatives. They are a firm that they're rooted in value. Their foundation is strong and solidified. They're capable. They're diversified. They are a stable company, and they are a capable company that has been in existence for over 50 years. And these are firms that are certified to do business with the university. And as we move forward, the Office of Procurement Diversity would like for you to contact our office in the event that you would like specific firms to be highlighted. Do you have any questions? My name is Karen, and here's my email address. If you'd like to get more information, you feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Karen. Okay, don't even bring up the PowerPoint. I'm going to give you the 1-minute version of the Source to Pay update. Source to Pay has continued to move along. I think we've got some exciting news that I want to share with you today. An ITPC large project template will go forward. That ITPC template, okay, so even though my body is not youthfully optimistic anymore, my brain is still youthfully optimistic, and I thought we were going to be able to find the software that ate the procurement universe and we could all use one software tool for all those needs. Sadly, no. But what we have discovered in the extensive review we've done in the Source to Pay process, thank you, is that the best course of action will be to optimize the iBuy system, and that will mean that you'll be able to stay familiar with what you know. Still some new features coming, some new capabilities and functions. We're going to leverage our vendor relationships such that we are able to do things in iBuy that we haven't been able to do in the past, so I'm excited about moving forward on that. That's component number one of the Source to Pay project. Component number two is a procurement portal, and by that I mean, since we could not find one software solution, the vision is to create a portal for the university where, and I'm gonna, boy, I'm stretching here because my technical colleagues have not completely agreed with me on this, but one portal where in fact you can go and see, here are requisitions I need to approve, here are travel reimbursements I need to approve, here is something I need to do, here's a requisition I'd like to start. Ideas like that we will continue to formulate, but one place for doing the transactions, or at least initiating the transactions, and for the information you need in order to successfully execute them. So that's one component of the program. The third one is the travel reimbursement solution. The vendor that supports iBuy, Jagger, does not offer a travel reimbursement solution, so we are going to continue to analyze. This is one that Dr. Ghosh is very, very interested in, and we'll move that forward pretty quickly, taking a look at if we upgrade what we've currently got, does that meet the needs in the same way as the iBuy optimization solution might, or do we need to go out to RFP for a new product? And that will be forthcoming. Card programs is another area we'll look at. We all love it, love the P-card solution, and you know, I especially do, because I was one of the few people who are left who who kicked that baby off 20-some years ago. But it's time to give it a rest now, and we'll take a look at alternative card programs. The initial assessment for ICS is that the Jagger solution will align adequately so that we can replace the current ICS vendor with a new one, excuse me, not a new one, with the Jagger product, so at least we have one opportunity to consolidate systems and user interfaces there. And lastly, capital contracting and procurement process, still maybe Jagger, but lots of work to do on that one yet, so we're still very much in the analysis phase on that. So I wanted to give you a very brief update. You'll get lots more information at the next couple of meetings as we move through the template approval process, more opportunities to participate and give us your information. So stay tuned. Thank you for coming today, and we'll see you next time.